SMS Cement.
Mr. Chairman, I thank members for their cuts. Building an enduring home for Singaporeans goes beyond hardware or infrastructure development. Software is equally, if not more important. It is about supporting our residents with accessible and affordable amenities, preserving community ties and collective memories, and building a gracious living environment. I will speak about 3 areas that MND will do more in collaboration with the people and private sectors. First, transforming our heartland shops to be more vibrant and better able to serve the needs of the community. Second, ensuring that food and beverage continues to be affordable and accessible. And third, creating a quality living environment. First, let me share our plans to transform Heartland's shops. Mr. Liang Eng-hwa, Mr. Xie Yao-Chuan, and Mr. Pritam Singh spoke on this subject. We all agree on the importance and relevance of Heartland shops. The question is how to ensure that residents' and shoppers' diverse needs are met, while also being supportive of businesses and the spirit of enterprise. This is not something that government alone can determine, and this is why in 2021, MND and MTI jointly embarked on an extensive consultation exercise on this subject. We engaged more than 2,800 stakeholders over an 11-month period and obtained many valuable suggestions from residents and Heartland shop operators on how these shops can be transformed. In response, HDB and Enterprise Singapore will launch a new roadmap of efforts to support the rejuvenation and transformation of Heartland shops. MOS Low Yen Ling has spoken on Enterprise SG's moves during MTI's COS, and I wish to now address initiatives that MND and HDB will undertake as part of this joint effort. First, part of this transformation is to give existing HDB shop precincts a greater role in incubating startups. The Heartlands have been the birthplace of more than a few successful Singapore brands. Charles & Keith, for example, started from a shoe shop in Ang Mo Kio Central in the 1990s and now has hundreds of stores worldwide. We believe more such brands can be nurtured in our heartlands. We are excited to work with Enterprise SG to facilitate this. Since 2018, HDB has been setting aside up to 5% of its new shops for direct allocation to startups or existing businesses with innovative business models. We will be launching the Enhanced Entrepreneur Scheme in partnership with MTI and Enterprise SG to allocate more shop spaces to eligible startups and provide a 10% rental discount for their first 3 years. Entrepreneurs will therefore have a platform to test out innovative and different models of service in a more conducive environment. Second, we will enhance the revitalization of shops or ROS scheme to support the transformation of our HDB shop precincts. In January, we announced in Parliament that we would relax the threshold needed for upgrading to proceed from 100% agreement amongst shop owners to 75%. This will make it easier for precincts to benefit from rejuvenation works. We recognize through feedback given to us by many local merchant associations that shop owners may still be hesitant to undertake upgrading works, especially in the face of economic uncertainty and rising costs. Therefore, to better assist our heartland shops, we will reduce the shop owner's co-payment share for ROS upgrading costs from 20% down to 5% and increase HDB's share from 70% to 85%. HDB will also co-fund 80% of the costs for optional works at the shop front, for example, installing vertical blinds or roller shutters up to a cap of $3,000. In response to Mr. Liang Eng-hwa, HDB will be shortlisting sites for the ROS over the next few months before inviting local merchant associations to apply. To minimize disruption, areas that have been selected for or are undergoing other HDB upgrading programs, or where the town councils have plans for repair and redecoration works will be prioritized. priority may also be given to older neighbourhoods that have not yet undergone ROS upgrading. To Mr. Pritam Singh's feedback on the use of outdoor display areas, or ODA for short, HDB has issued guidelines on the management of these areas, but town councils are empowered to manage them as part of common property. The foremost consideration is to ensure public safety and tidiness of these common areas. Hence, we require clear and open passageways and for the local shop operator to manage the ODA operations directly outside the shop. Under current guidelines, unrelated trades are not allowed at ODAs, as these are primarily meant as an extension of the existing shop's operations to draw crowds into the shops. Itinerant retailers can bring added vibrancy and variety to the HDB retail scene, but the proliferation of commercial activities, if left unchecked, might lead to excessive noise and crowding, as well as unfair competition to existing shopkeepers. It is the role of town councils to enforce against the improper use of ODA. We know that town councils have many rules and responsibilities to discharge, and we leave it to the town councils to decide how to prioritize amongst these different responsibilities. If there are instances of violation that need to be reported, please inform HDB and we will look into it. Third, we will support our heartland businesses to employ locals and to keep food affordable for residents. These efforts will help make HDB heartlands even more inclusive. There is the potential for heartland shops to provide a variety of employment opportunities close to our homes, specifically through social enterprises and businesses with inclusive hiring practices. Mr. Xie Yaoquan has spoken on this. These employment opportunities bring not just an income, but a sense of self-reliance and dignity to vulnerable individuals. We want to support more businesses in making these opportunities available and uplifting more lives. HDB has been supporting social enterprises and SG-enabled supported shops with inclusive hiring practices by directly allocating them shop spaces and providing SMEs with a 20% rental discount for the first 3 years. We have seen good results from the 24 beneficiaries of the social enterprise scheme. To further support social enterprises and at the same time bring their benefits to local HDB estates, HDB has partnered agencies like MSF and RAISE to provide more support and benefits for inclusive enterprises. We will adjust the rental discount from 20% to 30% for 3-year terms with the option of renewing for another 3 years. We will also award additional points for operators who include meaningful employment for seniors aged 65 and above when bidding for HDB shops under the price quality method or PQM framework. We hope these measures help to increase employment opportunities for our seniors and persons with disabilities or special needs in our community. Next, let me talk about the accessibility of amenities and of affordable food in particular, a subject raised by Mr. Louis Chua, Mr. Henry Kwek, Mr. Xie Yaoquan, Mr. Gan Tianpo, and Associate Professor Jamus Lim. Today, all HDB towns are planned with a variety of facilities and amenities. I should add that hawker center placement is done by NEA, and just now during MSE's COS, the subject of hawker centers and the prices of meals available at hawker centers has been given quite extensive treatment. Commercial facilities are injected based on the needs of residents while also considering the viability of operators. In built-up sites, HDB will assess and facilitate requests for new commercial facilities on a case-by-case basis. For example, in Sengkang, URA and the relevant agencies are currently reviewing plans to further develop the Sengkang town centre. The agencies will reply to Mr. Louis Chua. Most residents can access commercial facilities with a food court or eating house within 400 meters from their homes or an approximately 5 to 10 minutes walk. Beyond accessibility, we hear ground concerns about rising costs of living and want to proactively ensure that our residents can continue to access affordable cooked food options within neighborhoods. In 2018, HDB launched the PQM framework after considering various mechanisms where new tenders of rental coffee shops were required to provide 6 budget meals as well as a budget drink. Operators who successfully tendered for HDB coffee shops under this framework typically provided budget food options averaging $3. The rentals under price quality tenders were also generally lower than before under pure price bidding tenders. Tenderers, too, shared that they appreciated the opportunity to compete on quality rather than on price alone. Having seen the success of this implementation of budget meals at new rental coffee shops, we will be extending this requirement to older coffee shops due for their 3-yearly tenancy renewal from May 2023 onwards. This will make the availability of cheaper food options in coffee shops more certain and pervasive, as coverage of the budget meal regime will be extended to almost half of all coffee shops and cover all HDB towns by 2026. As a start, we will require these coffee shops to provide budget prices for 4 meals instead of 6 and 2 drinks as a condition for renewal. The budget meal and drink prices will be benchmarked against economically priced F&B offerings in nearby neighbourhood coffee shops. We will consult operators and remain flexible in assessing their proposed prices, bearing in mind business sustainability. To help rental coffee shop operators and stallholders with this transition, they will be offered a rental discount of 5% of their renewal rents for 1 year from the time the new requirements are in place. M&D and HDB will engage industry players on the budget meal provision and related matters soon. I thank Associate Professor Jamus Lim for making some suggestions when it comes to tenders for coffee shops, as well as his views on affordability food. I would like to make a few points in response. First of all, our experience with the PQM framework, as I have shared, has shown that lower rents can be achieved compared to price-based tenders. And when it comes to the factors driving the prices of meals in coffee shops, apart from rents, there are other factors alluded to just now by SMS Amy Kaur during MSE's COS, and these are factors that I believe apply not just to hawker centers, but also to eating houses or coffee shops, and these would be food ingredients as well as expenditure on manpower. So even if we were to focus primarily on rents, that alone might not guarantee lower or budget meal prices. So this is the reason why HDB has decided to get to the heart of the matter by expanding the budget meal regime, and we will be doing so for all rental coffee shops. We also intend to monitor adherence of the coffee shops that have moved onto the budget meal regime. There is also the question of sold coffee shops. What do we do about sold coffee shops? Well, we have just very recently extended invitations to eating house chain executives, and I will be speaking with them and engaging them on the importance of ensuring affordable meal options, notwithstanding the fact that they are operating out of sold coffee shops. Next, let me talk about how MND intends to support the maintenance of a quality living environment. Mr. Murali Pillai suggested that there is a need to review funding for town councils or TCs, given the increasing overall maintenance costs. Let me assure Mr. Murali that HDB already factors in considerations such as the ease and cost of maintenance when designing estates. Specifically, the automated fire-rated roller shutters in Mr. Murali's estate were installed to meet fire safety requirements due to site-specific considerations. Maintenance costs will be borne by HDB, not the TCs, as such shutters are HDB's car park assets. We hear the views shared previously by Mr. Murali and other members on how design features of HDB estates must not only be attractive, but also practical and cost-effective from the viewpoint of long-term maintenance. The Municipal Services Office, or MSO, has also been engaging TCs on their views on specific design features and will be presenting these to HDB. Government agencies also share best practices with TCs to support their maintenance operations. For example, NParks shares advice on how to reduce bird-related disamenities, such as by planting species that are less attractive to pest birds. The government also provides substantial grants, collectively amounting to some $239 million a year, to offset TC's costs of maintenance so that they do not fully fall on residents. MND has been closely monitoring the larger macroeconomic environment and cost drivers affecting TCs. As costs of maintenance rise over time, we know TCs have been doing their part to raise Service and Conservancy charges, or SNCC, periodically, even as they continually seek to realize cost savings and improve productivity. This is part and parcel of discharging TC's responsibilities for running their towns sustainably. On its part, the government acknowledges that some of the cost increases TCs are facing now are sharp and steep due to external factors such as the spike in energy prices. To support TCs that continue to make adjustments in SNCC to meet long-term financial sustainability, the government is prepared to consider a time-limited special funding support to cushion the potential impact on residents. Let me now touch on the additional efforts we are making to address the softer issues that shape the quality of our lived experiences in HDB estates. Since 2014, the MSO, in partnership with agencies and TCs, has made good progress in improving the delivery of municipal services. Through digital services such as the One Service app, Kaki, the chatbot, and with One Service functions now available in Live SG, residents can conveniently provide feedback on their living environment to the government. We have become better at responding to cases, but there remains a subset of municipal issues that are socio-behavioral in nature. These arise from differences in how we relate to one another and cannot be resolved by the government alone. They require us to partner the community and refresh our social norms to better reflect society's changing and diverse preferences. Our experience with the Alliance for Action, or AFA, on norms for joss paper burning shows that promising results can be achieved if we find the right approach to go about norms resetting. Joss paper burning is a long-standing cultural practice in our Chinese community. Practices can be updated, however, and disamenities like excess smoke and ash reduced if practitioners adopt minor changes to what they do. The AFA, led by leaders and cultural experts from the Chinese community, developed public education campaigns for last year's 7th lunar month and the recent Lunar New Year that directly address the mindset and intentions of practitioners, correct misconceptions, and demonstrate responsible burning practices in HDB estates. After several years of annual increase, the volume of feedback received on irresponsible joss paper burning has dropped significantly for both these periods, and this is a very encouraging development. Mr. Ip Hong Weng asked how MSO will be leveraging technology and partnering the community to address social norms. One example I can think of is how we worked with the volunteers from Mountbatten as part of the Love Our Hood initiative to tackle the issue of illegal parking. And this has been met with promising results, specifically a drop in feedback about illegal parking. Social norms also play a pivotal role in the complex and subjective issue of neighbourhood noise. Last year, I announced the formation of the Community Advisory Panel on Neighbourhood Noise, or CAP for short, as part of a holistic response to address this issue. The panel engaged the community to establish an understanding of what kinds of noise are acceptable or unacceptable in the residential setting and has recommended community norms for noise management to the government. The panel highlighted the importance of residents being able to engage neighbors to resolve issues amicably in the first instance. The panel also identified a list of considerate behaviors that residents can adopt to manage noise that is created in our daily lives. Since receiving the CAP's recommendations, MSO has been working with partners to promote the proposed community norms. For example, a group of residents in Pioneer have come together through MSO's Love Our Hood initiative to trial physical calendars at lift lobbies to be used by neighbors to inform each other in advance about potentially noisy activities such as renovations and large gatherings at home. Participants in the CAP's feedback gathering exercises agreed that some amount of noise generated from daily activities were acceptable, but there was still a sense that people wished for more quiet and peaceful time to rest at home. Thus, the panel also proposed to extend quiet hours from 10:30 p.m. until 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. until 8 a.m. During these hours, excessive noise-generating activities should be avoided. Undoubtedly, this CAP recommendation reflects the views of those who suffer the ill effects from neighborhood noise. After all, those who are not affected by neighborhood noise or those whose activities generate noise can hardly be expected to turn up at the CAP's feedback sessions or fill in survey forms. But it is important that the CAP make this ask on behalf of Singaporeans who hope for more peace and quiet. And it is equally important that we find out whether the rest of Singapore is prepared to go along with it. Anecdotally, some stakeholder groups have already begun ending their community events before 10 p.m. So some shifts have been happening on the ground. But for all of us to move together, we cannot overlook the impact that these extended hours, as recommended, could have on businesses and other community groups. Thus, MSO is in the process of engaging the wider public and stakeholders to see how this can be adopted. This is part of our Forward SG commitment to refresh our social compact to promote vibrant and peaceful neighborhoods that all residents can enjoy living in. MSO is also working with the CAP to study how a quantitative noise threshold in the form of a decibel limit can be adopted to aid the identification and assessment of egregious cases. To be meaningful, the decibel limit should cater to residential settings and not industrial or construction settings. To promote an understanding of the cause and effect of interfloor noise disturbances, MSO will also be setting up an experiential space. Interfloor noise is a major category of neighbor noise feedback in our dense, high-rise environment. Unfortunately, much of the feedback is subjective and speculative. The feedback provider who suffers from noise can only describe its effect and often after the fact. Without the neighbor's cooperation, it is hard to find out for sure whether and how the neighbor has caused the noise. And as a community, we are none the wiser on exactly what transpired. The experiential space will allow visitors to test firsthand how different actions create different decibel levels of noise and to challenge their perception on the direction of the noise. Visitors can also look forward to learning about actions to adopt to effectively reduce their noise impact on their neighbors. We hope to open this experiential space to the public in the second half of this year. I would like to thank Mr. Henry Kwek for highlighting the issue of egregious neighborhood disputes arising from intentional antisocial behavior. This is a serious matter that the government has been closely monitoring and studying. When the COVID-19 pandemic first hit in 2020, public feedback on neighborhood noise, high-rise littering, smoking within homes, and joss paper burning all saw significant increases. Since then, case volumes have receded to pre-COVID levels, with the exception of neighborhood noise, which remains significantly elevated. We will continue to monitor and review how various types of neighborhood-related issues can be managed. For a start, our focus is on neighborhood noise. While most cases of noise disturbances can be improved through stronger community norms recommended by the CAP, Mr. Henry Kwek is right in identifying the reality of a small set of severe cases where conflict between neighbors has become entrenched and acrimonious. Often there are signs that at least one of the conflicting parties purposely weaponize noise to cause suffering to their neighbors over a prolonged period. We think this is wrong, and strong actions are needed to put a stop to this. MSO is a member of the interagency work group led by MCCY that has been closely reviewing the Community Disputes Resolution Framework, or CDMF for short. Minister Edwin Tong has shared how the powers and processes of the Community Dispute Resolution Tribunal, or CDRT, will be strengthened in his MinLaw COS speech. We hope this will provide faster and greater relief to residents. In cases where noise is being used as a weapon to disrupt the peace among neighbors, we will include them under this new legal framework on mandatory mediation for community disputes. Minister Edwin Tong will elaborate further on the enhancements to move community disputes towards resolution during MCCY's COS. The preferred mode of neighbourhood dispute resolution remains having both parties engage with one another. But we recognize instances where some government intervention would make a difference. We will therefore pilot a unit of dedicated personnel. They will leverage stronger laws, such as mandating mediation under the enhanced CDMF, and actively work with affected parties to bring serious cases that are beyond self-help towards resolution. MSO has decided to host the pilot after careful consideration and after studying the experience of the community warden program mentioned by Mr. Ip Hong Weng and other efforts across government. I know that many who have been long-suffering victims of neighbor-inflicted noise have pinned their hopes on government intervention, which is all the more reason why I must highlight the following considerations. First, this unit of dedicated personnel must not function as a first resort. We do not wish to stunt the community's capacity to resolve disputes early when they first occur. If people rely on government personnel in the first instance to deal with their neighbors, it can only weaken our kampong spirit over time, and we would all be the poorer for it. Second, this unit is part of, and not a substitute for, an interlocking system of norm-setting, good neighborly communication, and the CDMF. Having government personnel stepping in to resolve differences between neighbors all the time is neither desirable nor sustainable. Third, this unit must eventually be vested with appropriate powers and use them sparingly but effectively. These include powers of investigation and powers to require nuisance makers to stop certain behaviors pending mediation of the dispute. By making their presence felt at critical points of dispute resolution, we hope that this unit of dedicated personnel can deliver the right amount of intervention, bring relief to those who have a genuine grievance, and discourage the willful weaponization of noise. We aim to stand up an initial team for this pilot by the end of the year. MSO will share more details when ready. Chairman, in Mandarin, please. 国人对生活费的上涨难免感到焦虑，政府也很重视这个问题。为此，我们将针对邻里商家和邻里消费者推出2项措施。首先，为了支持小型企业，监务局会为参与商店提升计划 ROS 的邻里商家提供更多的资助。与之前的20%相比，店家现在只需缴付5%的翻新费用。政府也将资助店家安装金属卷帘、灯箱等门面装饰，提供80%的工程费用，以3000元为顶线。第二，我们将要求更多邻里咖啡店为消费者提供经济餐饮。自2018年以来，监务局要求所有新的租赁咖啡店提供6套经济餐及1种经济饮料。从今年5月起，每一家即将续约的咖啡店必须提供4套经济餐及2种经济饮料供食客选择。到了2026年，每个市镇将有至少一家咖啡店。到了2026年，每个市镇将有至少一家咖啡店提供经济餐饮。此外，政府也将加强应付各类邻里纠纷的措施，并重点处理邻里噪音。在过去的这3年，邻里噪音的案例有居高不下的趋势，其中也有蓄意制造噪音与邻居作对的例子。社区事务署和律政部、文社青部携手合作，加强调解这一类纠纷的各个环节。其中，社区事务署将做出新尝试，成立一支专门队伍，通过上门调查、发出禁令等行为， 促使情节较为严重的纠纷通过正当渠道尽快解决。我们知道，有些饱受噪音之苦的人士觉得沟通、调解等方式无效，迫切希望政府直接干预。我能充分理解这些人士的心情。我们认为，邻居之间的有效沟通仍旧是维持邻里和睦的上上之策。不过，在一些特定的情况下，官方专员介入，配合调解渠道的正确使用，有望收到一定的效果。这个方案的详情在完善后会进一步公布。Chairman, back to English. I have shared how we will be enhancing our hardware and adjusting our software to build an enduring home for all. While we make progressive adjustments, we must remember our ideal: a gracious and accessible community for all Singaporeans to enjoy. Thank you.